terrible segue though to the Canada-Mexico women's game on Saturday and of course tomorrow here at BMO Field. 2-0 Canada beat Mexico. Andrea Leon, 40 goals now for her country? 40. She's
her ninth in 2024.
She underrated, Dubs?
Underrated.
She underrated. Perhaps. I think so, because in a team, in a squad that's starved for goals, time and time again, she shows up and she delivers. So yeah, I think so, because she didn't have a great first half, neither did Canada. But I think it was more via the substitutions. I think especially Evelyn Vienne, Chloe Lacasse, and those two combined for the second goal. But Vienne also provided that decisive assist for Leon's goal. So it could be argued that maybe players around her gave her the opportunity in order to do it, but she had to convert. And you see, like, so far in the tournaments this year, the W Gold Cup and the She Believes. I mean, she won the Golden Boot, right, in the last tournament they were in. I think She Believes. So she got presented with that award, and Olivia Smith got the Young Player of the Year award, I believe. And Kevin Blue, wasn't super effective nor influential. But Kevin Blue presented those two awards, and he had strong dad energy. He looked like a proud dad between the two of them, presenting them with their trophies. But it was great. Good result. I think the performance needs a little bit of work. They'll look to refine that tomorrow night at BMO. But Mexico's a good side, and they pushed back. And like I said, Canada looked a lot more alive in the second half, a lot more threatening on the attack, which is what they needed, because it was a rather plodding and pedestrian first half.
Crowd looked a little, I don't know. What was the crowd like?
Sorry. It wasn't too bad, was it?
They were like 15,000, which is good. They kind of, it took a little while to trickle in.
That's what I was wondering, because I watched the first half, watched your segment where you were blinded by the light.
Oh, yeah.
Squinty eye Walsh,
so hot.
as we call her.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's the look when you're squinting in there like that. I'm giving her.
I asked them kind of joking. I was like, "Can I keep my sunglasses on?" And they're like, "Ha ha ha, sure." And they're like, "No, take them off." And then I should have probably gotten a little bit more acclimated to how overpowering and blinding that light was. And it wasn't conducive to a strong on-air look.
And did the crowd? Did the crowd slide in? Like, was there stuff at Saputo happening? I was thinking about, and the reason why I was thinking about, there was only 15 there is because it was the same day as Champions League. So I'm wondering how the schedule was looked at, and hey, maybe we could have gone an hour earlier to perhaps give people that extra time to do both. Just wondering.
Yeah, I think it remains an afterthought, unfortunately, that you're not, those types of considerations aren't being made, or they're not looking ahead and seeing what they might be competing with. And it has to be said too, like, for people who you're targeting to fill those seats, like, I wouldn't have been there had I not worked the game, because I was with my kids in the morning coaching them, and they had another game that was in direct conflict with that kickoff. So my question is, why would you not have an evening kickoff? I don't know. I think then you would have sold it out. But I don't know what has to be weighed, or if they even realized that and they only realized it after the fact. But that has to change. Like, we're seeing like a growth on the women's sports side, professional women's sports booming here in Canada. But then these, I don't know if I want to call them mistakes.
But you're competing in the evening. You'd be competing with Montreal, CF Montreal, obviously on the road.
Mm-hmm.
But I wonder if that's part of it. I'm not sure. I mean, is it the same fan? Are you looking for new fans? I mean, the women's game is interesting, right? Especially with NSL starting up. What fan base are they going for? Is it brand new fans, or is it football fans who are already established who want to experience something different? What do you think it is?
I think you're targeting everybody, but you're going after pockets of the population that perhaps haven't felt like they've been included. Right. So you're going after the local soccer community, but it's more than just, the tired old trope that the only people who show up to watch women's sports are like their families and their friends, and then young girls and their parents. Like, it's not that. It's more diverse than that. It is people who are fans of traditional sport, but it goes beyond that as well. So it's trying to get those people. So to your point about, is it not in the evening because you're looking to, if you're CF Montreal, you're hosting and you're providing the stadium to Canada Soccer, I don't think you're shooting yourself in the foot where you're fracturing your fan base, the people who are going to tune into that match. I don't think it's that. I think there's a whole pool of people that I think have felt shut out of the traditional sports market that you can now bring in. Say, listen, you're welcome here. So I think that's something that traditional sports can do better. But I think now with NSL, with the WNBA franchise in Toronto, with the PWHL, I think you're going to get people who have been fans for a long time, but have felt shunned or ostracized by marketing and media and the way that you bring those people in. I agree.
That dog agrees.
Yeah. I think, you know, there is a problem. I mean, when we're playing games on weekends, let's face it, we're doing this podcast and we've got a million things to talk about in the footballing world. So there's always something you're up against, whether it's MLS in Montreal and what's going on in the evening, or the Champions League, or the FA Cup final, or, you know, this time of year especially, everything's busy on the weekend. So I think that's tough for them to.
No, I agree with you. It's always tough for a venue to be filled, but I always see this as, you know, you guys had Canada. When I say you guys, Canada Soccer had the, you know, goodbye to Christine Sinclair and had that place jammed. And if anything, it shows what a great experience it is. And you need to, and obviously they want to build off this, but when you're missing 5,000 people at Saputo Stadium in a revenue, you know, a very different revenue challenged organization, are you not missing out on 5,000 turnstiles and the cost of those turnstiles and seats? So you're missing out on a revenue generation thing too. So I always sit there and I go, where's your ROI, your return on investment? Do they need to advertise more? Do they need to reach out to communities more? Do they need to get on radio and partner with Seja Day and you know, Shum, and make sure that all the radio stations are pushing this because it's an event for them? So I don't know. It just always, once I see empty seats at a national Canadian, you know, association game, I sit there and I see missed opportunities sometimes. I'm sorry, Canada Soccer.
I think, you know, I will play devil advocate here a little bit, and it's a friendly against Mexico. I thought that wasn't a bad crowd, to be honest with you, in my opinion.
I agree, because you go anywhere in the world, friendlies don't draw, generally speaking, right? Friendlies, I mean, I don't care about friendlies. It's a bit different with Canada and women's because you see them so rarely on home soil that you want to see them. But overall, I mean, there's a bunch of friendlies coming up this week across the world. Oh my God, sorry, my dog. Shut up!
Who's yelling at you? Is that breakfast?
But yeah, friendlies don't draw because who cares about friendlies? I mean, all these pre-Euro friendlies coming up, I mean, they mean nothing. They're not important. They'll be experimenting, right? But Canada's a little bit different because we see so little international.
And this is the Olympic squad basically getting ready. That's kind of where I was going with this. Like these
it's the context of it. I understand.
Yeah,
I think you're right too. That it makes the friendlies a little bit more meaningful.
Yeah,
I think.
I suppose. So.
And your last chance to see this squad before they're, you know, in France, you know, trying to compete and protect and win back their gold medal. That's all.
AFC Toronto dropped their logo, their crest, this morning. Looks pretty good, actually. You haven't seen it? Check out the social media. It screams a little Juventus to me, different colors. But if you look at the Juventus crest, it's simple, but I like it. Dark maroon will be their colors. Dark maroon. So is that considered claret, or is it darker than claret? Because I want to see a claret and blue in this league. I want to see that because it's one of my favorite color combinations.
It could be because
claret, was it?
I think maybe it's maybe it's darker than claret. But dark maroon, it's a fine line between dark maroon and claret.
Burgundy? How does burgundy fit in there?
Oh, that's a good point, isn't it?
Yeah.
Burgundy.
A little bit of Ron.
Is this claret really red? Is that?
I think it's burgundy.
Claret.
I hardly knew it.
Like blood.
Blood, yeah, it is, right?
Blood's
But claret and blue, like West Ham and Villa, that's not red.
That's claret.
It's claret.
But
Burnley's claret.
Yeah, no, I know. But blood isn't that color. It's a little bit
Well, that's
lighter,
what
isn't
they
it?
call it. It's a
If it's on the
claret.
ground for a while, it is.
Oh, that's true. It gets
So
darker,
I just
doesn't
looked
it?
up claret. I just looked
Yeah.
up claret. Claret color is a dark red with a distinctive trace of purple. The colors
Oh.
claret, burgundy, and maroon all sit on the dark red spectrum.
They're
So
all
burgundy
like
and
the
maroon
dark
are
same-
considered
red.
different. Burgundy and
Yeah.
maroon are different.
So it says.
Okay. Anyway, regardless, it's a
Yeah.
pretty cool crest. I like it. Calgary Wild also dropped theirs late last week. Another really cool logo. Looks very, I don't know, dangerous,
Intimidating.
intimidating. It's
Yeah.
an owl, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody
Wise.
really
Depends
It
what
looks
kind
wise.
of owl you're
Someone made a
identifying
comment on
with.
Twitter, which I won't regale because it's really funny, but I won't.
Please do.
Do we know the ownership groups? Any of them?
Personally,
Well, like who's behind these clubs, Dubs?
That's a good question. I'm less
Ooh.
familiar.
Who's behind?
Who could it
Yeah.
be?
Ooh, that's
For
wild.
Toronto, Helena. I think they launched today, and actually Helen is going to be there on Thursday. She's coming to the event. But the specifics of that ownership group, no, I don't know.
Right.
But they both have a group, so more so than Montreal, where it's two primary investors. Both Calgary and Toronto have kind of a myriad of investors as part of that group.
And Diana Matheson will be with us on Thursday, right?
Mm-hmm.
joining us
That's
in block
that's
number
my
2.
highlight for Thursday. I'm looking forward to
Yeah.
seeing her.
No, she'll definitely be the classiest part of the show. No doubt about that. You know what, Dubs? You should think about having some ownership groups on broadcast. Might be an idea.
Yep.
Hmm?
That is a
Fill
great
some
idea.
content.
Yeah.
You got
Maybe
a
we should
year to
buy
figure
it.
it out. You want to buy a
Who?
team?
Buy a team.
Let's buy a team. Yeah, okay. And
You
put,
got
and
a
put it
mill?
where?
You got a mill kicking around, Forrest?
A MILF? Is that what you said?
Yeah. Also coming on Thursday.
In case you play some cards right.
Start blowing it up.